How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about 3 updates in this game that I think would be absolutely amazing. Things that there's little things that as I've been playing, I've been thinking, yeah, no, this would be a good change. I think this would be a great thing to do, and hopefully you guys agree too. However, if you don't agree, that's where the fun starts. Get in the comments, let me know why you don't agree, let me know what you would prefer instead, and anybody who has any updates that they thought would be nice to add to the game, except for things like death reworks and stuff like that, like death costs. We all know that needs to happen, but I'm trying to think about other stuff as well. So if there's anything that you have thought recently, you know what, that could need a rework, that could need an update, a good change. So let me know in the comments what that is, and I'll be very interested in talking about this sort of thing, because it's really cool to sort of see what you guys are thinking needs changing in game as well. But anyway, if you enjoy this video, do leave a like on it, do subscribe to the channel if you are new, Twitch link in the description below, go ahead and follow that if you are interested. And not only that, the clan that we have started recently is already over 200 members. It is absolutely crazy. I'm so happy to see you guys there. If anyone else is interested, then join the Inits as a guest, and you'll be able to ask for an invite from pretty much anybody in there, and anybody is welcome. Members, free to play, high level, low level, you're all welcome. But anyway, let's talk about this, shall we? Alright, so the first thing in this game that I think could use a rework, and I think would be super useful, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with this one. Of all the ones I'm going to talk about, I think this one is going to get the most disagreement, but personally I think this is a great idea. So, I think auras need a rework, and now when I say auras need a rework, I don't mean like change what the auras do, the effect. I think the way you have to kind of commit to a full hour on the aura. I really don't like the fact that when you log in, if you want to log in and do 20 minutes, 30 minutes of bossing, yes, you could activate an aura for that and waste the final bit of that aura, like the next 40 minutes or 10 minutes if you're using a Zerk aura. But I feel like when you're going to go PVMing in this game at the moment, because you have to use an aura everywhere you go, or you really want to use an aura everywhere you go, it makes such a big difference. You kind of feel like you have to commit to a full hour of bossing. And okay, this is kind of like first world problems, right? You've got an hour-long aura, and you only want to do 40 minutes, so there's 20 minutes wasted. It's whatever. But the thing is, when you log back on later on, like say if you wanted to play again later on, you would have to reset that aura, or you would have to use something else. Now, personally, the biggest issue for me with this is, say someone wanted you to go to Solak, and you've been playing for 2 hours already, you've already been doing other stuff, you've done an hour of Rax, you've done an hour next, not that it really matters at this point, but someone wants to go ahead and do some Solak with you. Now, you only have 40 minutes until you have to log off, maybe you've got to go to work, maybe it's stupidly late at night and you probably should be going to sleep, but you as well want to really go ahead and do some Solak. Now, there's a few issues. One, you don't have a full hour to commit, so you'll be wasting your aura. But 2, you'll also be wasting the person's aura that you go with, because they're going to have to put their aura on, and once you're gone, they're going to sort of be stood around like letting their aura go to waste as well. Now, it's not the end of the world, you're wasting an aura, right? You guys are probably thinking, just shut up, innit? It's just a freaking aura. The point is, it kind of feels like RuneScape's broken down into hour segments. Like, if you're going to do something, you have to do an hour of this, you have to do an hour of that. And yes, some of this is kind of our own fault in the way that we have always worked something out at how much gold per hour this is, or how much experience per hour this is, or how fast or how many hours do I have to spend to unlock this thing. It's always broken down into hours. But auras do not help in this situation. They really do not help, because they are literally hour-long segments where you are kind of committing yourself to PVM, and it'd be nice, in my opinion, the update that I would like is to be able to toggle auras on and off. So they'd be kind of like scrimshaws where you can turn it on, you can turn it off. However, Reckless, for example, has a 5-hour cooldown. Now, you can extend the aura with Viswax from 30 minutes to an hour, and that's what pretty much everybody does. They will always use an hour of Reckless, but what I'm suggesting is, what if we could pause the auras, and this way, when you pause it, the 5-hour cooldown timer is still going from when you first press activate. However, if you stop after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you can pause your aura and it will save those 30 minutes that you've got left. So if you came back 2 or 3 hours later, you could resume that, jump in another boss instance, and carry on PVMing. This would mean that you can sort of not have to commit to a full hour or something. You're not wasting someone else's time, as they could pause that afterwards, and they could go and do something else and just resume it if they wanted to. They could spend the last 20 minutes doing something else, or they could, you know, you can take a break mid-boss fight, for example. If you are doing ED3 and you've put your aura on, guys, you better believe that you are spending the next hour sprinting down that dungeon, getting as fast kills as you can, and trying to squeeze in at least 2 kills an hour. Because if you don't, then you've wasted half of your aura, and 2, you get towards the end of ED3 and you can't even do the ambassador without starting off a new aura. So it'd be nice if you could actually pause this if you need to go and get something to eat, if you need to go take a toilet break. Like, guys, we actually get punished in a way, for going to the toilet. You're going to lose time on your aura if you need to take a break to go to the toilet. Now, obviously, these are all little things, right? But it'd just be nice. I just think it'd be nice. A quality of life thing. I'm not saying this is like game breaking. This is like the worst thing in the game. I just feel like being able to pause auras and resume them as we please. However, in the time of pressing activate, you have a 5-hour cooldown timer going. And if you use up all of your aura in that time, then once it's done, it's done. You have to wait until that 5-hour timer is done. And say you only use 20 minutes and then leave it paused. By the time the 5 hours comes through, those 20 minutes get wiped and it just comes back to being a full refreshed aura again. I know this one's took a little while to talk about. My examples have probably not been amazing, but hopefully you guys know what I'm trying to say. What do you reckon? Do you think having auras be able to be paused and resumed just like that would be a good idea? Or do you think there's a better way to do reworking auras? Do you think there's a better way to do it? If so, get in the comments, let me know. I'm sure this one will definitely get some people saying, innit, just stop being stupid, man. It's absolutely fine, stop whinging. And yes, it kind of feels like I'm whinging a little bit, but you know, it's just quality of life. Anyway, let's talk about the next thing, shall we, before this one takes freaking 10 minutes long. Okay, next up is one that isn't really that big of a deal, but recently I had my archaeology tab in my bank so full of freaking damaged artifacts and stuff like that that it was absolutely ridiculous. Everything was full. My bank space was absolutely being eaten up by these damaged relics, damaged artifacts, whatever they're called. To be honest, guys, I haven't done archaeology in so long that this is probably not something that bothers me so much, but I'm sure plenty of you guys will actually like this one. It would be nice if we could either unlock, or if you get it straight away, a place where you can actually store these damaged artifacts. So when you restore them, of course, you can go and turn them in, so that's not too big of a deal, but I suppose you could just include them in the same thing as well. But it'd be nice if where you can store your materials, you can put them in that crate and store them in there. Maybe there was an option, or maybe we could work towards an unlock of like a little storage house or a warehouse where you could actually store all of the damaged artifacts as well, so that don't take up bank space, because honestly, you can get so many of these. Is absolutely insane. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who do archaeology a lot, like you guys that are at 200 mil archaeology, or people who do archaeology for AFK money, or people who chase after tetra compasses. I'm sure you guys have hundreds of these things stored in your bank, taking up so much space. But the only issue is you can destroy them. Yes, you can absolutely do that, but it's waste of experience. Like most of these, especially for people who are high level, a ridiculously good XP to restore them. You just haven't got around to doing it yet, or maybe you have and you've got hundreds of restored ones in your bank, but maybe you don't want to get rid of those either, because you can hand those in at some point and get yourself some chronotes, which is actually worth a decent amount of money. It all sort of adds up, and honestly, I don't blame you guys for not wanting to get rid of them, because I held on to mine for so long, and this is someone who didn't do archaeology. When I came to clean my bank, I actually just destroyed the whole lot of them, but as I was doing it, oh, did it hurt. It felt like I was throwing away so much experience, like destroy, and it's like, oh, there goes 40k, there goes 40k. It just was so stressful. But I'm sure for a lot of people it's worse than for me, because I can cope with that. I don't plan on going for 120 archaeology just yet, at least. Maybe one day. I've got a lot of bonus experience in it. I'm sort of preparing myself for the future, but at the moment it's not something in my mind, so getting rid of them wasn't anywhere near as bad for me as it would be for somebody else. What do you think? Would you like to have like a little storage, little warehouse or something where you can put damaged artifacts in, even if it only held like 50 or 100 and you'd have to organize the ones that you want? It would absolutely save a lot of bank space. I think this is something that I don't see why we shouldn't have this. There's no negative side to it, like, oh no, it has to be in my bank instead. I don't know. I think it's absolutely fine. But what do you guys think? Do you think that's a good idea? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so the final thing that I want to talk about is a little bit bigger than the other two, in all honesty, and this one will really be 50-50 for a lot of people, I think. I'm sure lots of you will definitely agree and say this is a great idea, and I'm sure lots of you will say, I don't think that's a good idea, it's a really bad idea, and honestly, there's both sides to it, and I'm kind of in the middle as well, so I'm interested to see what you guys think, where you guys stand on it, whether it's going to help me decide, yes, that's a good idea or not. I mean, these things aren't going to happen, probably, likely. Like a mod from JX isn't going to watch this video and go, you know what? Let's just add everything he said just because Innit said it, you know? That's just not how it works. But it's still cool to get the ideas out there and see what you guys think. That's the point of the video anyway. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is practice mode. Practice mode for PVM, practice mode for bosses. Honestly, I think this could do with a change. It is really useful to have this. No, it is ridiculously useful, like super good to have this in the game. And I am so happy that it's there because it has saved me a lot of money while I'm practicing Telos, while I've tried to practice Raksha in the past. It is definitely something that needs to stay. However, there is a few things that I would change about it, and there's a few improvements that, well, improvements in my ideas that I would actually love to see. At the moment, when you go into a practice mode, you have to load your preset from the bank. You go in, you make sure practice mode is ticked, and then you go into the fight. Essentially, what practice mode does is it removes the cost of death. You will not go to death's office if you die. You will just go outside the instance, and then you can go back to the bank, reload your preset, and come in. You can basically throw yourself at the boss as many times as you like without getting any consequences basically whatsoever, except the fact that you still have to use all of your resources. Now, some instances in this game, some bosses, to do them correctly, to do them most efficiently, and to probably put as much effort as you can into learning these bosses and making it as easy on yourself as you can, requires really expensive gear, requires really expensive like supplies in some places, and honestly it can get really costly even in practice mode. Now, practice mode also has the chance of getting any drops removed. If you get a kill in practice mode, you get absolutely nothing, which I 100% agree with. It's practice mode, there's no risk to dying, you shouldn't get any reward. That is absolutely done correctly. However, I feel like because there's no reward, it shouldn't really cost us our supplies to practice the boss. Now, what I mean by this is, if I'm practicing Telos at the moment, it actually costs me a stupid amount of money just to try each and every kill that I'm doing. And I'm trying to practice higher in rage stuff, I'm trying to practice doing different rotations, and honestly I'm making a lot of mistakes, and I'm dying a lot. Like, in an hour I may be able to get like 1 or 2 kills without making any mistakes, and those mistakes really are costly. And that's not because when I die I end up having to go to death's office and pay, because obviously it's in practice mode. However, each time I die, all of the buffs that I've put on myself, including things like incense sticks, which are stupidly expensive, are completely taken away. Things like weapon poison, all that sort of stuff is gone as well, so all has to be reapplied. Overloads, of course, are going to be gone, completely wiped, and basically every time I go into this kill, I am spending a lot of money just to even attempt the kill in practice mode. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, dude, you're learning Telos, it's going to be expensive, it's definitely going to be something that is expensive. Keep in mind, this is not necessarily just for me. I'm thinking about people who are learning PvM in general, people who haven't started just yet, and people who are literally looking like, okay, practice mode, I've got that, I can go into a Raksha, I can go into Next, I can use practice mode, and I can just throw myself at the boss until I figure it out, I can get used to the mechanics this way. Yes, that is a great thing for them to do. However, so many people are put off by the fact that they have to spend supplies on practicing a boss with no chance of reward. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the death costs, because if the death cost wasn't so bad, if they weren't so high, if you weren't paying 11 mil just for dying once at Telos, then I'm sure plenty of people would probably actually just forget the practice mode, go in, and if they get the drop, they get the drop, and then it would kind of all balance out in the long run, I suppose. Once you've died a few times, you may get a good drop once you get your kill. It wouldn't be as bad. But of course, you want to use practice mode, you don't want that ridiculously high death cost, you don't get any reward from that, so you're basically just throwing supplies down the drain until you finally get through and start getting kills. So this definitely does put some people off from practicing, and honestly, it still puts me off as well at Telos. So I know for a fact it cost me a few mil an hour just to go and try this boss, and I will not get anything out of it because I'm not in the point where I can comfortably do normal kills and hopefully get a drop without accidentally dying as soon as I switch to Ring of Vigor or something and basically losing 11 mil because of that. Okay, so it's been about 4 minutes. I've explained all the reasons. I'm sure you guys understand where I'm coming from. What would I suggest as a fix? What could work with this? I would think it would be really cool if, when you joined a boss section as practice mode, if it popped up with your bank preset window and you could load a preset that you've made in your bank, but it doesn't take your supplies. The game gives you the supplies, but only for practice mode. If you leave, you lose all those supplies, and it also loads up any gear that you had as well on the preset, which means you're not losing charge on these expensive gear sets and stuff like that. It will be basically completely free to practice these bosses. It is just practice mode, there is no drop still, all that sort of good stuff, exactly as it is now, except for the fact that if you die, you're literally not using any of your supplies. You come back outside the room with nothing on, nothing in your inventory, and you can just reload the preset as it was shown in your bank, and you can go straight back into the boss. Now, I don't know about you guys, you may be thinking this is just too easy, there's too much in there in the way of helping people just figure out bosses, there's no sort of cost to learning the bosses, that sort of stuff, but I think for people getting into PvM, for people wanting to stick around in the game and really get sucked into what we all love, the fact that, the bossing in this game is absolutely brilliant, I think this could be a great thing to do, because there's a lot of people that just don't bother because they know for a fact that if they use a practice mode, they're going to be spending millions and millions before they can learn it properly, because they may not be on the same skill level as you guys, especially me. Like at Telos, I literally cannot learn this boss as fast as most people have. I struggle, I spend a lot of money, and every time I think, right, I'm going to put an hour or two in at Telos, I know that I'm going to walk away losing at least 10 mil. The supplies, the armor costs, it's all way too expensive just for a practice mode with no sort of results from it. So being able to just load a preset and being given those items just purely for the practice mode, I think would be a cool idea. What do you guys think? This is probably going to be one that will be very 50-50 on. I'm very interested to see what you guys think though, so let me know. Comments down below. Any other suggestions on how it could be fixed, any other improvements, then do let me know. There's something that probably will pop up, and that is phase by phase practice modes. For example, Telos, you could just phase straight into phase 5 and practice that. I don't like that idea. I used to think like, I wish I could just practice phase 5, but that's what makes the boss hard. Getting to that point and actually being able to do it and getting through it, like you have to put that time in to get to that point just to practice it. That's why Telos is so difficult. I think that definitely needs to stay as it is. I don't like phase by phase practice mode, but what do you guys think about that as well? But anyway, that's going to be it. That's the last one that I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you think. Alright, so that is going to be the last one for me. As I said, guys, I do not have anything else to talk about in this video, and hopefully you have enjoyed even just the discussion or listening to it in the background if you weren't watching the actual video, and hopefully there's some stuff in here that we can get a discussion going about. Like I said many times, get in the comments, discuss this stuff. I love hearing from you guys on topics like this. It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, do leave a like on it. It does help out more than you probably know. If you're new to the channel, then do consider subscribing as well. I make quite a lot of content like this, along with other stuff like PVM series and just lots of stuff. Whatever I can think of on that day, or whatever I can think of in advance and make like ideas of, basically gets used. There's so much stuff on this channel, and hopefully it stays that way for a long time. Shout out to my channel members. Thank you all for your extra support. I seriously appreciate it. It's absolutely awesome. Twitch link in the description below. Go ahead and follow that. Discord link as well if you want to get involved more in the community. Don't forget, you can join the clan, guest in the inits, ask for an invite. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.